Well, the time is just gone 10 minutes to 9 as we continue with the broadcast, and we're going live to you on the ground by Baidoa in Somalia, where the Imdaad Foundation team is on the ground. And we are joined now by the Imdaad Foundation's Moulana Suleman Dhanchora. Moulana, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, brother Inayet, to you and your listeners, and thank you for having me.
Yes, Jazakallah khairan so much for joining us now. I see the Imdaad Foundation team is on the ground and in Baidoa as part of the drought relief mission. And we know that the situation has been dire for a very, very long time. Just take us through, what is the situation on the ground, Maulana?
So certainly, brother Inayet, as you've mentioned, dire and critical are the two words that certainly come to mind. Somalia currently experiences its worst flood in 4 decades. It's a historic drought, and it's brought 8 million people on the brink of hunger and starvation, issues of food security, etc. 1.5 billion people have been internally displaced, and we've got 500,000 children that are currently malnourished. As a result of the loss of crops and livestock, many people here in Somalian society come from an agrarian or pastoral background where they depend on their crops and livestock for livelihood, food and milk for the children as well. So this is livestock that would normally make its way onto the platters and plates of wealthy Middle Eastern country. But in the absence of this, and 1/3 of the country's livestock having perished, they've had to make the difficult and perilous journey here to the southern city of Baidoa, which is currently the heart of the current crisis. 900,000 displaced people are in camps around the city. Also, one has to bear in mind that in Somalia, besides the North-South National Highway, there is no proper infrastructure. So as such, the population has to carve through barren wilderness to reach these camps to get the exposure that they need. This morning, my colleague, Brother Muhammad, and I, while interacting with processions of people that arrive here each morning, learned from an elderly woman who explained that she made the journey of 150 kilometers to reach the camp. She was on a conveyance, on a donkey that could not manage the journey. So she'd had to complete the journey under the scorching sun with 9 little children. We've heard other accounts of mothers having to evade packs of hyenas and wild predators to try and reach these camps so that they may have the exposure that they so much need and access to humanitarian aid, nutritious food, and water. These people have left behind everything. They leave behind dead crops, dead livestock, their ancestral homes, and they come here with only the memories of lost loved ones. We've heard harrowing incidents of families so weak that they were unable to dig up deep enough graves to bury their loved ones, so that they simply make a hole, put the deceased within that hole, and throw on a whole lot of thorny shrubs to keep out the predators from digging out the body. Once they reach the camp, it's a dismal reality. The shortage of food aid means that food is prioritized to the starving over the hungry. So they come here tired, hungry, exhausted, and this is the reality that they are met with. A lot of the donations that were made in the past from our North American counterparts and European humanitarian aid organizations are now directed towards the Ukrainian crisis, which leaves the Somalian people with far less than what is required to avert a catastrophic loss of human life. So this is the reality, and this is what we see each morning on the ground in Somalia. As I mentioned earlier, that livestock has been lost. This is something that they entirely depended on. The malnutrition at the ground is absolutely unbelievably phenomenal. 500,000 children at the moment are malnutrition, and you see children, 8-year-old children who resemble 4 or 5-year-olds, sunken eyes, swollen limbs, and it makes them more susceptible to other diseases that are prevalent in this region, malaria, cholera, tuberculosis. etc. So a very, very critical and in your words, a dire situation indeed.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda. Tune into Salam Media via audio stream.
This is something that I've reiterated to City Power and those that have basically been logging the polls, that we need to draw the distinction between Lenasia and Lenasia South. This is Lenasia South. It's a complete different suburb to Lenasia, plus minus 11 kilometers away from Lenasia. And yesterday and last night, everybody was in anticipation for the lights to return. Unfortunately, the lights did not return as anticipated, which I anticipated, and I knew it won't happen. They then said, no, they are busy repairing the fault and they will work throughout the night. But then there was a conflicting messages going on, because what Power was saying was that they are on site, and the councillor for the local community, she said that no, she's been informed by City Power that they have all gone home and they will continue with the fault this evening. But I think we need to face the reality of what is actually happening in the ground. And I've had, again, a number of engagements on social media with the officials of the city of Joburg with no response at all from any official.
Multi-award-winning journalist and media personality, Faisal Patel.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity, rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
We continue with our broadcast this morning, and we need to apologize for that slight break in communication. And we continue with the Imdaad Foundation and the relief effort in Somalia, in Baidoa, with Moulana Suleman Dhanchora. Moulana, assalamu alaikum. We must apologize. We had a break in communication. But just to continue and looking at the Imdaad Foundation in terms of the assistance and that you are providing, and you mentioned the situation in the camps, and also looking at this perilous journey that the internally displaced people had to undertake. What sort of relief are you providing at this point in time?
So, Brother Inayet, what is absolutely critical at the moment, and what is absolutely required to sustain life at the moment, is food aid. So alhamdulillah, the Imdaad Foundation has so far distributed just short of about 3,000 bags of food, nourishing food for our brothers and sisters here on the verge of starvation and for malnourished children. Over and above that, a shortage of water. So one has to bear in mind that in Somalia, it is possible to do relief work. The ports are open for business. There are landing strips right at the doorstep of the camp. So it's you're able to airlift cargo. You're able to bring in nutritional food. Water tankers have been donated by international governments in the past. But the cost is what's the problem here. The funds required to operate these water tankers. Alhamdulillah, yesterday we were able to commission 22 water tankers into service. So the convoy at one go is able to haul approximately 250,000 liters of water. And if I can just give you a frame of reference here, to give you an understanding of how dire the situation is, while talking to village elders in the settlements, they've expressed to us that our sisters and our mothers here are so dehydrated that they do not even have lactating mothers, do not even have sufficient milk to sustain and nourish their little infants and their little babies. So alhamdulillah, we were able to bring into commission 22 water tankers. At one go, they're able to haul almost 250,000 liters of water. But we have to bear in mind as well that these are pastoral and agrarian people. They live by the land, they rely on their crops and their livestock. Once that has perished, they have nothing at all. As in the words of the village elders, their livestock was both their fridge and their bank accounts. So all of this has been taken away from them. They arrive here tired, distressed, and with absolutely nothing. So non-food items is what we've been distributing as well. Cutlery, items of hygiene, pots and pans, tarp and plastic to try and shelter them from the blistering hot sun here. Baidoa in itself is a rather precarious place of refuge, bearing in mind the temperatures here sometimes soar up to 40 degrees Celsius. So food aid, non-food items, as well as water tankers have been commissioned into service. We've seen, while walking through the camps, weak mothers willing on even weaker children, starving mothers clinging on to little babies and babies barely clinging on to life. The medical aspect is a whole new dimension. It's a whole new spectrum of aid that is required. We've engaged with doctors and nurses on the ground, and they've elaborated that they are bracing for a preventable but a rather catastrophic loss of human life. If you are to look at these children, swollen limbs and depressed fontanelle, nausea and vomiting has resulted in hypothermia, and then malnutrition makes them more susceptible and makes them predisposition to other diseases that are rife in this part of the world, such as cholera, tuberculosis, pneumonia, and malaria, which is common as well. So inshallah, at the moment, what we're doing is critical emergency interventions. This needs to be sustained over a long period of time. We need to bear in mind that this is the fourth consecutive rainy season without rain. We're going into the fifth season. And if rainfall does not occur between the months of April and June, we are on the brink of a catastrophe. So what we need is to try and create a sense of resilience, to have enough food on the ground to sustain the population, to give them access to healthcare, to ensure that the water tankers are operational and delivering fresh, clean drinking water. For this, obviously, funding is required. This is where the problem lies. And this is the cry, the heartfelt appeal to your listeners, that it is possible for them to be sitting at home and to directly alleviate the hunger and the suffering of our brothers and sisters here on the ground. If I can just give you another frame of reference, medical personnel here explained that in this region of the world, every 4 seconds, a child will lose their life. So in the matter of time that it's taken us just to deliver this update, we can imagine the number of lives from preventable causes. So we can imagine the number of lives that we could have saved. So the appeal to our brothers and sisters listening online is that these interventions need to be sustained for a period of time. As such, we urge our brothers and sisters to make donations and contribute towards this life-sustaining, life-saving initiative that the Imdaad Foundation is carrying out on the ground in Somalia.
Well, Jazakallah for that. And Moulana, all the information is on the Imdaad Foundation's webpage. So people can go on there and get all the information, the necessary information to donate to this cause, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah for that.
Inshallah, our website www.animdaad.com. We've got a strong social media presence and offices in all major cities in South Africa. We urge our donors, inshallah, to find within the deepest recesses of their heart compassion for our brothers and sisters suffering here on the Horn of Africa.
Jazakallah for that, Moulana. Allah accept from you, from the Imdaad Foundation team as well. And I know it's no easy task, but inshallah, Allah make it easy for each and every one of us. And more importantly, Allah reward you for your efforts. We do appreciate you taking time out and sharing what you have with us this morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran lakum.
Moulana Suleman Dhanchora joining us this morning, and we're going to go straight shortly to John Apollos, Giwusa General Secretary, and this comes against the background of share schemes with AECI and a protest march that will be taking at the head office this morning.